And so I got to the point where she had called I said, if you call my primary care, who I have like her direct line, she'll be able to do a telehealth situation, and then we'll just drive down to the drugstore and pick up the antibiotics. It'll be quick. And mom was like, okay, great. She was like, I can fit her in today at 12. And we were like, fantastic. I was still kind of woozy, and this is in the morning. And then I'm like, hey, mom, I have to go to the bathroom and I need help because I'm still like stitched up. So she's like, okay. And I take 2 steps, I blink, and I'm on the ground. Yeah. Come to find out, I was going septic.
What?
And my blood pressure was 64/54. So if you've got any RNs or nurses in here, my heart rate was at 120. So y'all do the math on that. And then I found out through blood tests later that I was going into kidney failure.
What?
But they didn't tell me that. They didn't actually tell me that because my mom's a nurse, and I'll save you the emergency room pit stop that we had to do. I got the very expensive taxi ride to the emergency room because I had to call the ambulance. And then when I get to back to the hospital, I did the surgery. They're running all these blood tests on me. It was the most miserable experience ever because like all they do is wake you up every 3 hours to draw blood and run tests and ask you if you're resting okay, because they have to monitor
every
me.
3. How can you rest good with 3 hours? Like who rests in 3 hours?
It was a mess, and they had to monitor me very heavily. And then my mom gets up and she's like, well, where are her blood test results? And that's what she starts asking about the results, because at this point they've drawn so much and so much time had passed. She starts standing over the nurse a little bit, like she's like maybe like 2-3 feet behind the nurse, and like she could see the screen. And she's like, she looked over at the screen, she squints, and she's like, Kemi, you were in kidney failure apparently. She's like, the numbers are low are not supposed to be low, the numbers that are high are not supposed to be high. And the nurse goes, double back. She does a double take. She's like, were you a nurse? She's like, yeah. And so it was like,
oh my
and I was just like, and I was in the hospital, but just like, nice, cool. Like, I mean, I'm not anymore, but that's what
that is so traumatic. Camille.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you are still with us and you survived and you didn't die. My gosh.
Yeah, no, it was very scary. That day was very emotional. I remember just being like so thankful that my mom was there, because had she not, and I would have just, maybe if I stood up on my own, I would have hit my head even harder, right? She caught me literally as I was literally passing out. So yeah, it was very scary. I'm very glad to be here.
How is the recovery now? Like how are you at 100%, or
I mean,
how do you feel?
100% won't be till probably about a year for being just as medically correct as possible. But I do feel much better. It's one of those things where about like March, because this whole incident happened February 1st. I almost got taken out the beginning of Black History Month. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The Black History Month. And they were like, get her out of here. No. So about mid-March, I actually started to feel like myself. Somebody said movement is medicine. So get into the gym, walk as much as you can without pushing yourself too hard. And that's what I started doing. I started walking a lot. Then I started lifting. And then when my doctor cleared me to have sex, I told her, no, I'm going to go to the gym.
Gotta clear you for sex. You don't want to do anything crazy.
I said, that's the priority, Jennifer. That's my surgeon's name.
Well, so is there any lasting effects that you're concerned about? Is there anything that is different about your life now that you've had this surgery and all of that?
I mean, I think the only thing that looks different for me in we're talking like long term, is probably the potential to carry children, for being super honest, because the fibroid literally attaches itself to the uterine walls, and the walls are like almost like layered paper. So when they take them, that the uterine walls are weakened, and you have scar tissue. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, but like, you know how like we have our periods every month, and then we shed the lining of the uterine. So could it be the same way? Like even though they took it off of the uterine wall, that we just build up that layer again?
And it'll heal itself. It'll heal itself, yes, but there's always going to be like damage. So she was basically like, because there was like almost like a C-section scar too, I will not be able to do natural birth. I will have to do a C-section, which means I will be going to the hospital.
Yeah.
What else? Just that I'd be a high risk. She said, you'd be a high risk pregnancy from go. Also, because you think about my age and also the surgery, it's kind of like, yes, she's like, you're pregnant, and then like as long as it makes it past 3 months, you'd be considered high risk at that point. So you have to take it easy.
Right. So having, like, that's a scary diagnosis, because like you're still like a young single woman dating and all of that. So like, how does that make you feel that they're saying that you might not be able to carry a child to term and all of that? Like, how does that impact your mental health, your spiritual health? Like, how does it make you feel?
I mean, honestly, terrible to say, maybe some people would get it, but it kind of was like a relief at one point. First I was a little sad, but then I kind of felt relieved. And that's a really weird way to put it when you think about, I guess, societal pressures and norms. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? Like, I'm stressing about something that may never happen. Or if it does happen, I'd have to find a very rich husband to pay for a surrogate. Because if the eggs are still there, babes, they're everything else is still there.
Okay.
It's just a matter of the housing facility, the uterus may not be as safe as it used to be. So that being said, it's kind of like there's so many other different ways to have a family too, if I really want that for myself. But yeah, like I guess for me, it was just kind of like, okay, well, what now? Right. And that's kind of what it became. Like I was so stressed about having a kid that literally that video that went viral, I mentioned having a baby. And now my situation is just like done a complete 180. And isn't that so funny how life works? Yeah. That one thing you were so stressed out about a year ago is not even really a problem anymore because it's been taken off your plate. So now what?
Yeah. You're so right about that. Like, I mean, gosh. Well, that is I feel like that when you go through something so intense like that like grows you like as a person. Like if you thought you were adult before, you're definitely adulting now because you went through something really hard and traumatic. And I always say like adversity builds character, and like sometimes like you work with your trauma and like to grow from it. You could either let it destroy you or you can like grow from it. And absolutely. I feel like you've grown and like you've conquered like such a hard thing. So like I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And happy that you're healthy and here.
Thank you. That's why I've been so quiet too on social media. It just was like I wanted to focus on my health and getting back to modeling because mind you, like the tumor made me like the size of a 6-month-long pregnancy. Just to like put it in perspective as far as size. Now, I'm not saying I'm like no slim ting, but I'm also not giving 6 months pregnant on a regular. And so like I was a fit model and I lost clients because of it, because of the weight gain, which is fair. Like what was the expectation?
Oh, so the gain wasn't just like your stomach being bloated. It was your whole body physique.
Because I couldn't work out. I was so tired. When like fibroids make you anemic as hell, and that means you're constantly cold, you're constantly sleepy, you have no energy. Like it is a very much a domino and full encompassing thing. It's not just like, oh, my stomach hurts. It's like, I'm tired. I can't get up. Nothing fits. And you know, with like modeling, it's such a vanity like job that it's like so much of it is dependent upon how you look. Let's just be for real. So when you don't look the way you normally know you look, it plays on your mental a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've been a fit model for years now, and I didn't know that you were a fit model too, but in New York, and like the intense thing, like for me, fit modeling was really good money, and I've been able to like pay my bills with it and like have consistent money come in, which is really hard for models to do these days. But I was so like happy that I was able to do that. But the thing is, the anxiety part was I had to be measured every week. I would have to go into my agency's office and she's like, all right, you know, put your arms up, let me measure you. And she has like, every time I walk in the the agency office, I would get anxiety because she has the little measuring stick and she has like and she's measuring me and she's like, all right, well, you're a half an inch over, you know, get rid of it by next week. And it was like, but I'm not a mannequin. I'm a real person. Like, you know, and you have to like keep it together because they're hiring you for your measurements, for your body and how it looks. And it's like, if you were over under them, sometimes I'd be really killing it in the gym and be eating clean and like just, you know, dropping a few. And I would go in, oh, well, you're losing weight. Your pants are loose. What's going on here? It's like, oh, you guys just don't want me to win either way.
Yeah,
like,
no, you have to be when you're a fit model, you have to be the very specific size of your whole body. You're not fitting an aesthetic. You're literally there to fit the clothes, and that's it. So that's it. They're not there for. You're not a personality hire here, babes. Like they don't give a damn about what you did last week.
They literally. Like, my agent one time said that she's like, okay, so we had this thing, like we had model classes, like in our agency in New York, and so every other Wednesday, like a bunch of us, like the plus size models, straight size models, fit models, male models, will all come in. Whoever wanted to like attend, and my agent would. Because I was gaining weight this particular amount of time, I walked in there, whatever, and she's like telling us about, you know, whatever she's trying to show us how to fit or whatever. She always like gives us an example of like a clothing. And then she like turns to me and she's like, see, if Gabby wants to keep these 20 pounds on, she could, yeah. No. If she wanted to keep these 20 pounds on, she could do that for print modeling. Like if she wants to be a print girl, yeah. But like, if you want to be a fit girl, you know, she really needs to get it together pretty much. And they're like so blunt. When I tell you, you cannot have soft feelings. Huh?
Was it? No, I was about to say. I was like, this is not the same agency. Because we're both signed to the same agency for the people that at home. So I'm over here like, am I safe? Like,
if it's meant to be, then it'll be a love song.